Hey, neotoy here. I'm just kind of trying to make a video, not having much luck. Um, Maybe I'm not really the video type. I don't know. I'm just not very comfortable in front of the camera or whatever, and I don't know. I don't find it very enjoyable. But I thought I'd give it a try just because I'm really interested in the whole new media type thing and just the ability to, I mean, a lot of people are calling it, the democratization of media, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but anyway, I was kind of just sort of thinking about some stuff recently, and mainly having to do with like resources and sociopolitics and socioeconomic type stuff, and basically, it just kind of occurred to me that in the United States we have a real lack of priorities, or a lack of comprehensive self-analysis as a society, and I think that's very problematic, and I think we're sort of seeing a lot of the consequences of that lack of self-analysis and lack of realistic priorities sort of manifesting in the world and in our own culture today. And I just thought I'd talk about that a little, like two main points that are really are just kind of shocking to me. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this statistic before, but basically, if everyone on Earth was able to enjoy the quality of life and have access to the quantity of resources that the average North American has, we would need a total of 3 Earths to sustain that kind of consumption. And that, of course, is obviously a problem because we don't have 3 Earths. We just have one, and it doesn't look like with our technology that we're going to be discovering or colonizing any more Earths in the near future. Although that is potentially a possibility, I think it almost kind of defeats the purpose if you're just hopping from planet to planet and consuming all the resources and moving on. It's kind of, I think you're really kind of failing as a species. But aside from that, basically, there's this other issue that's kind of really been bothering me lately, and that is not just consumption, but the fact that in the United States, a significant quantity of the things that people consume are basically financed and produced by the third world. And not that that's a problem, but the way the laborers are treated, making working 20-hour days, getting 16 cents a day for a tremendous amount of work, essentially slave labor, I mean, by any other name. And then that stuff is basically paid for by large American corporations like Walmart and Starbucks and, pretty much just about any corporation or outlet store you can go to. The products, I mean, pretty much everything is made in China or India or Pakistan or whatever, where these workers are basically slaving away under sort of unethical, inhuman conditions. So not only are Americans consuming the most worldwide, we're number one as far as consumption, the products that we're consuming are basically completely dependent on third world, slave labor, which I think is really it reflects very poorly on our country and on our leadership and our sociopolitical system. So in an instance like Iraq, for example, where the official PR version of the story was that we were basically trying to spread democracy to the Middle East. I think the fact that our system isn't really working right now, is an indication that maybe we don't really have the right to be going to other countries and setting them up with a democracy like ours. Even if we were successful, we'd really still be failing because our society is consuming too much, and the things that we're consuming are not ethical, they're not sustainable. They're really just another form of credit, just like the recent credit bubble that has burst and is causing financial ripples all across the United States and the world. So those are just kind of like my thoughts on those two issues. Energy, of course, is another really serious issue. The fact that the vast majority of our energy is generated using fossil fuels, which produce carbon, which then leads to climate change. This is all, once again, sort of an example of credit. It's energy credit. We're basically powering all of our devices, even this camera that I'm using, on fuel that is essentially destroying the ecosystem, is destroying the environment, could potentially lead to this planet being inhospitable to human life. So there's another example of how our system really is failing. And obviously it's not like collapsing at this very moment, everything's going to hell. It's a gradual process that we can see with proper analysis what's going on. And I think it's very important to realize that before we embark on sort of these missions to spread democracy to the rest of the world, when basically our own systems still needs to be seriously adjusted. So anyway, this is my first video, and you'll probably never see above my nose in any of these videos. I mean, what can I say? I'm a shy guy. And anyway, that's it. Go ahead, comment, rate. I'd really appreciate it. I'll read all of your replies and I will respond accordingly. So take care, everybody.